Anyway, you really should spend time with children. Anyway, speaking of spending time with children, ladies and gentlemen, we have a conversation I told you that always borders on how you do and how you didn't do it. Some of us are falling foul. You see, during the course of debates, not just this year, but in the previous tournaments, accent was raised. Some said, oh, this person went ahead because of the way she sounded, her accent. She was sounding very British. And if you have listened to the debates from Lagos in particular, that's Nigeriainfo, beg to differ debates from Lagos, a lot of people kept emphasizing, that girl sounds touche, that guy sounds touche. See, Queen's English. But what is the big deal about an accent? Years ago, about a decade plus ago, as I made my journey, my sojourn into media, particularly broadcasting, the trend back then was to sound like you just got off the plane from Heathrow Airport. Everybody, most of the music broadcasters and the presenters, the OAPs there, they all sounded like, everybody wanted to have a British or an American accent. Nobody really wanted to have a New Zealand accent or an Australian accent because it sounds funny in our ears. But we wanted so badly to sound British. So much so, let's be honest, that in the 80s and 90s, when people were sending their children to school, you would tell their friend that person is going to an Ajabota school because of the way the person sounded. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. And so you have people who parents will say, they hear the way that boy they talk. Why you if you talk like that? How much be your school fees? But what is really in an accent? Have we lost what true communication is because of a perception of what or how someone should sound? So if your child sounds British, does it make the person well educated? My question this morning, should children be made to speak in a particular accent? You see it these days in children as young as 5, 10, 12. Oh, mommy, that's a child. That's what you call Osaro. Yes, ma. And I'm Peking. Well, one of my colleagues has something to say about this because, he reads the news every day. And I don't know if he has an accent. Moily, do you have an accent?
It's so wonderful to be here again to have this discussion once again. Good morning, Jude. Yes, I do have an accent. And I say I do have an accent because I don't know how people view it, but ordinarily, I study linguistics. And so in our linguistic class, we believe that everyone speaks with an accent. So, but the thing is, in society, when people say you have an accent, it definitely means something else. Sometimes they mean, oh, he speaks with an accent. It means that the person doesn't sound like the regular way people sound here. It means the person sounds off. It could be that the person speaks, maybe if you're in an area where people speak similarly, like maybe people who attend, who are university graduates, they have a particular way they speak. The English is clear and there's nothing,
not all the time, but yeah.
Generally,
yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, so the English is quite clear. Maybe the person has some sort of a British accent or an American-leaning accent. You instantly identify this person has an accent.
Okay.
And then maybe the person has an Igbo accent, but then it seems like the person is trying to force an American accent onto the way he or she speaks.
Yeah.
Like this person has this Igbo accent.
Wow.
So it's funny.
Oh yeah, we should call it Englibo.
Englibo, yeah, exactly. You get that. So to me, everybody has an accent. No matter the language you speak, whatever, even when we come to Igbo language, I speak Igbo with an accent. And the accent I speak Igbo with is Anambra accent. So
give me just let us have a dose of what the Anambra accent sounds like.
The Anambra accent.
Yeah.
Or no, Urban and Subibo like this. You gonna know Anambra accent.
With of your English in this.
Hey, all the way go. Keki see a sense of the wave. Makana. Olensia, so the thing.
I can sense it.
So because if I'm speaking Igbo and maybe there's English entering it, hardly do I ever get to try to pronounce it in an Igbo fashion. So that could be the thing that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but that's the thing. If we're meant to, as it were, accept these accents like you, and I think maybe a lot of our listeners will probably agree with you that yes, we all have an accent, primarily because of our environment. An Igbo man is always going to sound like an Igbo man, primarily because of his L1 language.
Yes.
A Yoruba man, a Tiv man, an Ogoja man, an Esaka man will always sound the way they do. My Izon brothers will always sound the way they do. The J and the R and the Z's are always, mixed up, So why can't we just accept people, right? Instead of trying to fine tune their accents, particularly children, because the emphasis here, is based off of these debates that we've had this year and in the previous years, where people kept hammering on the fact that this person was better because he or she sounded better. We do know that for if audible, if you can enunciate, it's really
Beautiful,
good.
yes.
Yeah, but it's not really about your accent. But maybe there's a schism in Nigeria where people want to hear British or American accent.
So what I believe is, like while I was growing up, I had a really thick Igbo accent.
Is that a crime?
It didn't. Growing up, I was, how will I put it now? I felt really bad because people always often laughed at me because, coming from Anambra State, you always have some, like the L factor you mentioned. I had the L factor. Apart from the L factor, I had the chi factor as well, where I couldn't pronounce chi. I could only pronounce she. So if I wanted to say Jesus, I would say Jesus. If I wanted to call my sister's name, her name is Chisim, I would call her Shisim. So if I wanted to say,
but isn't that the way it's pronounced and used locally?
No. For that particular issue was more of a spoonerism for a child because I was growing up and I hadn't learned some of the sounds well. So that was my own unique idiosyncrasies.
Okay.
But the one that kind of felt that was general with people from Anambra State is the L factor.
Yeah, rife.
Exactly. That one is more general. So I had that as well. But I grew up in Enugu. And the school I attended, sort of, people laughed at me a lot, like if I wanted to speak. And so as a child, you'd feel bad, because people were laughing at you.
Okay, so before we go on this break, when we come back, Moeli, and indeed we'll open the phone lines right after, should we be emphasizing more on how we sound naturally as opposed to having everybody sound like an Englishman? Yes, we know we speak the English language, but why can't we speak it the way French do, with French accents? We'll be back after the break. Nigeriainfo. We're going to open the phone lines very shortly. Our conversation this morning is all about accents in society. Now, my question, just in case you missed it, is this, particularly for children. Should children be made to speak in a particular accent? Must they sound like, the stuff they get to watch on cartoons or on television? Not quite sure. But anyway, we're getting to you right now. Morley joins me this morning because he has had personal experiences with this conversation. Accents. So, phone lines 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0007. At Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. Our WhatsApp number is 0.
Not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeriainfo.
All right, so Morley, once again, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, so now let's delve in. We have calls already coming through. What's in the accent? What's the big deal, really?
Well, there's actually no big deal with having an accent. Like I told you earlier, I believe that what children should be learning is not really an accent. They should be learning the right pronunciation in school. And when you're teaching them the right pronunciation, you should endeavor to teach them using a particular standard. And for us here is the British standard, what we call the received pronunciation. So you teach them with that. And when you're teaching them with that, just teach them the sounds and the stress pattern, like the consonants, the vowel sounds, how the stress pattern works, and then emphatic stress. And that's all you have to teach them. You don't have to come and start telling them, how the rhythm it should go, or because these days you see kids and they are presenting, they have this particular way, like good morning has to go good morning.
Let me try that with Tompolo. Tompolo, good morning.
Good morning, boy. Wagwan.
Hey, Wagwan.
Why you talk about accent? Where I want? Why? Let me tell you Wagwan. See, man, you don't talk about accent because I got one. Okay? So when you talk about the diction. You may get a good diction, the pronunciation. Everything can come clean and straight. You in Africa so Nigeria so bio. So the accent really matters though, because you will get the own.
But let me ask you, Tom. But Tom, let me ask you.
What the diction matters. Is there any means of communication? Are we communicating? It's not taking up a British accent or a Caribbean or a Jamaican, because I can speak Patois. We have never been to Jamaica before all the days of my life, but I can speak Patois. See? So it's not the accent, it is a diction. Because the Igbo man got one, I got one. You understand what I say?
But Tom, let me ask you. Be very honest with me. I love what you're saying. It's not about the accent, it's about the diction, if we can hear you clearly. But Tom, if your younger ones, or maybe your son, right, attend school for a year, and when he comes back, he says, Daddy Tom, Papa Tom, how you dey? Would you be pleased to hear him say that, or would you want him to hear, good morning, Daddy Tom, how are you? Oh dear. Tom Polo. Okay, all right. WhatsApp 009-030-6416. 08090306416. Now, you can call me Jimmy. Jude, I think now, because of Nigerians like me who have English as their first and for some their only language, there is a Nigerian accent that is not peculiar to any tribe. in my opinion, the days where you could tell a person's tribe from the accent is almost gone. Okay. Anyway, I feel the whole accent thing is about the bias. To be very honest, the stereotype that the Igbo accent makes them feel like the person playing you is also one accent was world's sexiest accent. I remember when this was a thing. This was when movies like Black Panther and movies like that were portraying African accents in their movies. Nelson Mandela's there were a few movies about Nelson Mandela, right? And the accent was a bit difficult for some of the actors to get because you had the South African accent.
Yes.
Which is very, very pronounced. The South African accent is very thick. It's very rich, right?
Yes.
As opposed to the Nigerian accent, right? And it's not as fluid as the Coastal accent. Talking about Nigeria, the Coastal accent is not as fluid as Nigerians because an Igbo man, if he speaks English, you can tell.
Yes.
A Hausa or Fulani man will speak English, even though he went to school, you can tell, right? Because of their accent. But we don't criticize the French when they speak individuals. They are speaking English as a French man would. Hello. All right. So, asking you how long, if you're in school, right? Would you prefer him to say, "Daddy Tom, I'm back home," or would you like him to hear? Would you like to hear, "Daddy Tom, I'm back home from school. We learned how to drive new cars today"? Which would you prefer?
Why? Babylon style. That's original. What you say? It's not about how the boy say it. It's about the communication. Can I understand what him say?
Okay.
Papa don't come back from school today. I trek well. They will not see us. Them can come home. I think there was a communication. I've communicated with him and I've understood what he said. What if he said it through the English or through his own accent, or through the Yoruba man accent?
Even though you've never been to Jamaica, you speak Patois.
Yes, sir.
All right.
What made him to learn it?
Communication, the diction. You pass a message. The people don't understand what you say.
Well, Tom, Molly asked you a question. Tom, Molly asked you a question. So why did you learn Patois?
Boy, I'm going up now, lyrical dance style and dance style. I like the musical system, So
I heard everything he said. I don't know if you did.
Well, of course I did not, because I don't speak Patois, and of course a lot of people in River State did not hear him because we don't speak Patois as well. So for communication purposes, he should come down to our level.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Tom Polo. All right, this one says, Jude, leave us alone. No, we are Africans. And again, do we actually sound like others, or we are sounding like us? But Jude, I believe you have seen to us. And if all of us should speak like the English people, would these people love our accent the way that they do right now? Jay Moore is asking. That's a good question. If we all sound alike, what's that peculiarity that we ascribe to other cultures? Where they sound the German accent when Germans speak speak English, and even when you hear an Englishman speak German, right, you could hear the English in his German, right? And there's really nothing wrong with that. Eze is on the line from Igruta. Eze, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jude.
Good morning. Hello, Eze. Good morning. See me.
Quite very funny. I couldn't believe that Ifeami would speak Igbo.
Oh no, this is Moelio. This is not Ifeami. This is
Ifechukwu.
It's Ifechukwu.
Okay.
Yes.
Ifechukwu Moyele.
When you hear the name, you should know that the person is supposed to speak Igbo well.
They can speak Igbo.
Actually, Igbo is the first language I learned, and I spoke it for several years before English. So.
But your answer is not true.
The accent is the problem. That's why we're here this morning.
The accent that I speak when I speak the English language, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, but even when you spoke Igbo.
When you want to read the news, the accent is quite different.
Okay, fair enough. But Eze, let me ask you, should we make our children speak in a certain accent?
No, really, but it is necessary.
How?
Especially when you're involved in social environment like Nigeria.
Mm.
You know, like you see the Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
they are always proud, or the Indians, they are not ashamed of speaking their language.
Fair enough.
I don't know if you get me.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. So, most Africans, they are just like, they want to behave like the whites
Mm.
and change their intonation and all that. But let's be original. Indians won't change. They will still employ them. Even if they come with good or bad things, you still employ them. But us, we are just looking at the accent
Alone.
area.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Divine is on live from Woju. Miriam is standing by from Okrika. Divine, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Jude.
Good morning.
I don't have issues with communication, but my problem is this: that you can communicate, but where there is no understanding of that communication, it means the person is just speaking all by himself,
That's
only
right.
what he or she understands, not passing the message across to the other person. For example, somebody was speaking just now,
Yeah.
maybe Jamaican language,
Yeah, Patwa.
and I had to say, even though if he has spoken maybe quietly, so the other people will understand him. But right now, I didn't get anything. So I enjoyed the
And the idea is defeated.
I enjoyed the communication,
Yeah.
but I didn't get anything. You understand me?
Yes.
So if I say, Jude, Onegbe,
Ofure.
and you understand me clearly,
Yes.
that is communication.
Mm.
So if my sister comes and say, Dad, good morning, I say, oh, good morning, how are you? Or he said, Dad, I agree to, I agree to.
Wait, Divine, let me ask you. What if your child says, Dad, Onegbe?
That's not very well. Look, the father on the day, it means there is something he's saying that I understand.
Okay.
If you are
Okay.
saying on a, I'll be wondering what is on a. As far as it's on a day, there is resemblance
Yes.
in what I understand and what he's saying.
Okay.
That's communication.
All right. So should our children speak in a certain accent, Divine? Let me get to Muriel.
Yes.
Should our children speak in a certain accent?
In a certain accent,
Yes. Should they?
of course. And
Oh, okay. He says, of course. Muriel, do your children speak in an accent? Hello, good morning. Do your children speak in an accent?
Dude, not really. Not really.
Do you want them
There was
to?
a time not really, Jude.
Mm.
I just want them to be normal. Look, there was a time my children, when they started primary school, I put them in a good one, a very good one. And their accent was good. Oh, I loved it. Especially my first daughter, she was used for presentation, all those NCA. These are not the things I taught them in the house. I was just normal with them. But they learned it in school.
Okay.
But the day she spoke, I didn't know, I heard pidgin English from her. I shouted, I said, what? Where did you learn this one from? What is in school now? Everybody's speaking it. Mommy, I want to be my daughter. But later I realized
That's
I said, it's fine. Dude, it's fine if you want to do this accent thing. You want, I don't know if you learned it. What we see white men talking, we say, I don't even know, understand when they speak. Even when I started watching their television, those that I now learn, we don't call it you don't understand those days in town when we see them passing. But now we tend to understand, I think we're just trying to copy and imitate them, but it's all good. But when we want to speak our own broken, please, let's not bring this accent into it. Speak broken well, as a command style. Let's not lose our own. Our own is important as well. Some people, even when they want to speak their dialect, the way they want to roll their tongue, just like your guest. I cannot even believe that he's a Nigerian. Is he a Nigerian?
My dear, that's how we see him. We bought him. We saw him on the road. They were selling him. We bought him.
Your mouth shut so that you don't go and make mistakes. Let him calm down a bit.
Let him calm.
So that he can be able to communicate with our guests. Because they cannot understand him if he continues like that. He wants to go from here. So if you want to speak broken, do it normal. Remove that tone. But it's fine if you want to do all the accent things. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much.
Was he talking about me speaking English?
Yes. They say you should calm down. When you're reading news, they say you should calm down. Don't confuse our girls. That's what she said. That you're trying to confuse, but bears with it class. This might be based on perception. And I would be the first to say that maybe our forebears, particularly, those who first went to school here in Nigeria, talking about formal education, that's our fathers and our grandfathers, from the 60s and 70s and 80s. Maybe that's where the problem is, because they all wanted to sound English. They all want to sound British in particular. And so if you didn't sound a certain type of way, you were not seen as classy. You were not seen as in fact, if you sounded anything other than that, you were seen as uncouth. But how do we start to change that narrative? Because I still believe maybe you have not.
In the colonial era, so they had British teachers teaching them English. So when you have someone like that, British English is seen. We held them at high esteem when they were here, and so it continued like that. Our major language for communication, for news, for whatever we want to do, since this is a multi-cultural, multilingual society, is still English. And so the emphasis is on clarity when you speak the English language. And for you to achieve that clarity, you actually need to have learned how to speak the English language using the received pronunciation. And so when you listen to some of our politicians from the past, you'd hear how clear they sounded when they speak the likes of Ojukwu, Tafawa Balewa, all those people. You'd hear them. They sounded so clear.
Clean,
they enunciated their words so well. But even at that, you can still tell that they are Nigerians. Even at that, you can still tell. I could still tell. Like the day I watched the clip of Tafawa Balewa, I heard him, the way he sounded. It was.
I think we have one of those his stories on Tafawa Balewa. Yeah, he really does. Sound very educated.
So I feel that that's what's missing. That's what we should be. We shouldn't be talking about gaining a sounding British like the Britons, or maybe having a Cockney accent, or getting a Texan accent. People have different accents that they want to learn. But I believe that you should just take the simplest, which is the received pronunciation, which is is regarded as being accentless. Take it, learn it, and use it. People like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, that's exactly what she learned with. Yes. There's a book of hers that I read that, she said she, when she was in school, she ensured that she learned her oral English well. So, and you can tell her pronunciations are always correct, on point. But then she has this, what's it called now? The rhythm, the Igbo rhythm in it. And when I read Americana, I felt something in Americana told me that she was, when she traveled to the US, she probably had this American accent, and then she intentionally decided to change it, and then all she did was to put Igbo rhythm into the English that she speaks. And
so, that makes a lot of sense. That was Kingsley on the line from Port Harcourt. Now, let me read this message with you. This is from one of our colleagues. It says, for this new generation, it is not about wanting them to, it is what they are exposed to. All right? I have a child, and that's above 2, and yet to start school, right? But that child is already speaking with an accent picked up from cartoons.
Cartoons, yes.
So same for a lot of Gen Zs and now Gen Alphas, who were exposed to everything.
I got glued to the presenters as well, so I was learning from them. So I believe that what she said, is that a she or a he?
It's a she.
A she. What she said is actually correct. So what you expose the kids to is what they eventually learn. But what I'd like to say is when the kids are learning these things, ensure that when they speak, they sound so clear. I mean, clarity is, I don't necessarily feel, any form or any type of way about people who have an accent, as far as I can understand you. And one of your callers mentioned something about Chinese people and Indian people not really minding about their accent. I beg to differ on that, because I teach English online, and a lot of people don't know that. I teach English online, and I've taught a Chinese person and an Indian person.
Yeah,
and it's still the same issue that we have here. They actually do have it's the largest English teaching community there, and they even pay more. The English teachers are paid the largest or the biggest when we talk about English in the entire world. So you get to find that in China. So if you're an English teacher and you can get yourself to China, you will be a serious hotcake.
Okay, all right. So let's read some messages as we wrap up now. 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. All right. Okay, wait, let me stop here. Okay, all right. So the accent cannot be underestimated. Do you know that Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa have their different accents? Have you heard an Hausa man speak English before? Like our former president, Buhari, speaking during his days as president. Very important discussion this morning with Jude. That's okay from Rumukuta. All right, Jude, please tell your guys to speak broken. Let's hear him. I will not do that. I will move on and jump that. All right, that sounds like a trap. Okay. Children will typically sound like whomever is teaching them the most, whether it is a human being or a piece of technology. To penalize anyone for that is actually crazy. I mean, if you are sending your children to a British school, for instance, from a young age, what do you expect? My first maybe 10 years of life, I was taught exclusively by Ghanaians. I was not allowed to speak Pidgin English at home. In fact, it was outrightly forbidden. When I moved to England, I went to school in certain areas, studied certain courses, got involved in student union politics, during which I honed my oratory skills, got headhunted to present British radio, and only hung around certain kinds of people. I don't sound fully Nigerian, even when I speak Igbo, which is actually my second language, as I sound much worse than Ifechukwu. The English accent is there. I can't hear it, but others can. I still sound abysmal when I try to speak Pidgin. I know the words, but the sound is wrong. It doesn't make sense as a child, but he was encouraged to speak Efik at home, which he does fluently. He's an Efik one. In fact, he doesn't tell you, you don't you he an Efik. We're going to leave our Nigerians take the access.
Nigeriainfo. Right back after this.
The people will